Hi, everybody. Welcome to What You Need to Know. I'm Sybil Wilkes. It is Wednesday. It's Stephen Hill Day here. And is that what's
No,
that?
I didn't know. I didn't realize we were on yet.
Oh,
I didn't know we were on.
they've been trying to tell us that.
I can't tell time anymore now that they've done this whole digital thing. I can only use the hands. By the way,
Oh,
do you know how many young people can't use an analog clock?
yeah, that's the sad truth of it all, isn't it?
Sad.
Yeah, very sad truth. And some adults too. Quite as kept. There's like how many generations now have only had the digital clocks to deal with?
Right. And by the way, when it comes to this, forget about it. Like when it comes to this, just we
Did
can
you ever
ask
see
our
that bit on Ellen where they did all the old-fashioned stuff, like how to make a
yes.
call on a dial, how to
And
write a
17-year-olds
check?
were trying to do this.
Yeah.
Trying to punch. Oh, you just punch it. My finger's too large to make a phone call. That's too bad. Yes. It's my grandmother's phone, by the way.
Oh, that's nice.
Everybody else got jewelry, money, cars. I got the phone.
You got the phone. Is that because that's what you asked for or what you deserved?
It's exactly both of those things, actually. But it was really more the former until you made me realize it was the latter. And now I got to go to therapy again. But other than that, it's good. Fine now, I guess.
Well, at least you had relatives to leave things to you. Or things to leave, yes. Anyway, so many of us just go, okay, well. Welcome to Wednesday and to What You Need to Know. For those of you who don't know, the What You Need to Know newsletter is what we go by every day, talking about the headlines and the stories for the African American community, geared towards all the folks who are former listeners of the Tom Jordan Morning Show, as well as those who have joined us since then, as of the beginning of the year. And if you would like to subscribe to the What You Need to Know newsletter, please go to sybilwilkes.com and give us your name and your email address, and we'll have that in your email box every Monday through Friday morning, first thing. So it is Wednesday for most of us. We're now halfway through the week, more than halfway. For those of you who don't have a track of days, sometimes it's just really difficult, isn't it, these days?
Very.
As a part of the coronavirus. What does this day feel like for you?
It feels like every other day. It's not a Groundhog Day where everything is the same, but I really have to actively think more than I ever have in my life. Oh, is this Monday? Is this Wednesday? Is it Thursday? Now, I will admit, I get Saturday and Sunday pretty right all of the time. Right? There's no challenge there. But really, I have to actively think, okay, is it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? But I always look forward to Wednesday because I get to spend time with you. So that's true.
And as we go from this, we also do this broadcast on YouTube Live, and then later on this evening we will record our podcast from ha-has to ahas with Sybil Wilkes and Stephen Hill. And for those of you who would like to subscribe to that, we can get you that information as well. But Thursday should mean something to you.
Thursdays, I get to do my sunglasses and soul music, although it's turned into Loop Obsession. A bunch of music played.
Is that the new name?
A Loop Obsession is like, it's kind of a sub name. You know how some songs have like "With You I'm Born Again" is the name of the song, but it really should have been called like "Come Give Me Your Softness," right? Because that's what everybody called it.
Sure.
So that sunglasses and soul music is my "With You I'm Born Again," and Loop Obsession is to "Come Bring Me Your Softness." That was a long way to go to get that one.
Last week, did you have a marathon session?
Yeah, it was 9.5. It was 9.5 hours. It was 9.5 hours.
Wow.
Last weekend, and I don't remember who did I play last weekend.
It was Sade and Anita
Sade
Baker.
Anita, of course. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I would have kept going. I could have kept going.
Really?
Their music, they have so much music. I played 9.5 hours, didn't repeat a thing. But I love the folks who come by. It's on my Instagram Live. Stephen Grant Hill is my Instagram Live. Check it out tomorrow. And I still have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow.
There you go. Okay.
Love music. Love music. What's going on? What's happening?
Harold Davenport of the Mount Calvary Missionary Baptist Church is on YouTube. And why does Mount Calvary Church need our prayers? If you could tell us that, Harold, definitely will give you my prayers. Just curious as to what's going on in your world, and the folks at Mount Calvary Missionary Baptist Church. And what city? Because you know how many cities have Mount Calvary's? I immediately thought the one in Chicago, but I'm sure, Dallas, Fort Worth, New York
I thought
City, all of
Baltimore
them.
for some reason.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I could be wrong.
But that's your DMV growing up,
DMV, that's what 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Mr. Davenport, please give us a shout and let us know what's going on at your church. And I immediately thought the one in Chicago, but I'm sure.
There we go. No, that was me. That was me. As I'm trying to look at us on YouTube while we do this, so I can read comments as well. But it's like 5 seconds behind. So
I never
we were
get
in
to
the
read
future.
the comments. So yeah, but that's okay. I get an idea later on. So, Stephen Hill, talking about things that are in the news today in the newsletter, we talked about this organization, which is called Movement for Black Lives. And they announced yesterday their Breathe Act. And this is a partnership of about 150, and that's on the low end, 150 organizations working together in this time of change. And the proposed bill, the Breathe Act, which was presented yesterday, would abolish the Drug Enforcement Agency, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, reduce the Department of Defense budget, and also require mandatory minimum prison sentencing and life sentence, and eliminate discriminatory surveillance technology. That's a lot, but they are striking while the iron is hot. As we are going through these changes, and especially on our streets, people have not forgotten. There are still demonstrations, there are still efforts on behalf of those who have lost their lives and those who are in the fight to remember them. Some of the congresspeople, two of the leading progressive congresswomen, were a part of the were part of the presentation yesterday, and two of my favorites, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts, and Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, as well as mothers of the movement, including the mothers of Michael Brown and Eric Garner were there as a part of this. It's a 4-part legislation, but as I said, reducing those federal programs, talking about defunding a lot of our law enforcement programs, as well as to do a lot of positive work on our environment, so that our children living in our communities will not be the victims of lead poisoning. They want to get cleaner air. They want to provide community gardens and things like that as well. What do you think?
I think so. Here, I'm trying to make this a complex problem. I know we like to have simple problems, simple solutions. Getting rid of the DEA is going to will be a long-term challenge for our community. I don't think that we want that. I think we can't. I'm careful in the terming, reducing the fund for policing that is oppressive 100%, but you also do not want to unfund your police. You want to change the tactics. You want to get officer friendly. I use that as a broad term, right? You want to get officer friendly back in, so that the relationship between the community and the policing can be a trusting one. And that is a 20-year process at the least. It took 30 years for it to get to here. It's a 20-year process at least to turn it around. So if we're looking for quick solutions, I don't think we're going to find them, but saying get rid of policing is not going to happen, because you got to remember there are bad people out there, right? It's not like all of a sudden the bad people are going to act right? And I think that, the amount of shootings and things going on this weekend, there's a lot of factors, but let's be clear, we need policing. We just need it to look differently than we're used to having it. So it's a complex problem. So while I understand and I appreciate what Breathe is doing, I think you can't just say it's all of these. You got to go in there and a la carte that stuff.
I agree with you, and I also think that it's an overall goal, but also I know that, as you say, it's a piecemeal situation, and it's something that we kind of have to work towards and
Yeah.
and get those victories while we can. But there's so much. I mean, God bless them for developing this piece of legislation, which is quite comprehensive. But they got a lot of work ahead of them, and I think defunding the police department, one of those things that we really have to look at, because so much can be done if they bring other social service organizations and professionals in to do some of this work, and that's so necessary, and we got to start there. We really got to start there.
You've got to get the police have to be trustworthy, and you've got to rebuild the trust with the community. That's the bottom. I mean, and it's so complex. I'm saying it simply, but it's so complex to do that. But that is the root of how our children and our grandchildren are going to be able to trust and operate peacefully with police.
Because where we are now, and just those videos that people have put on Instagram and Twitter and what have you, the videos of the children outside and then running to hide as a police car is going down the street, that's real.
Yeah.
And as a lot of people of our generation say, remember Officer Friendly, remember, and kids look at us very quizzically and say, no, there's nothing friendly about the police.
Right.
And as you say, that could go a long way to engender that trust again in our community, and for us to work with them as much as we are asking them to work with us.
Absolutely. And when we this whole, don't snitch, like if there's bad people in your community, the reason the police act that way is because they're protecting themselves against bad people. Now, the way they do it, I'm not agreeing with, but you need to understand that where the way a lot of people get to this, because they are the bad folks. And if the community goes like, well, we're not going to snitch, we know that person did this messed up thing over there, but we're not. No, you want your community safe. That means getting the people who are doing the malfeasance out of the community.
We had a really
work with them, but you can't just like let it go.
Yeah. No, definitely not. We had a really interesting conversation yesterday with Damon Williams, the comedian, and his son, the community activist Damon Williams, and just a really impressive young man. And I really want to be able to work with him in the future, because he's just got such an incredible mind and such a sense of community and right and justice. And I hope that he is really a look at our future and turning things around in our communities. So, talking about turning things around, I don't go to this company. I'm not a big fast food sandwich kind of person.
Really?
I go to Subway and I get the tuna salad. You know what I mean? But Jimmy John's is under fire right now, because they had some employees at a Georgia franchise in which they made a video of them making a string of dough in the shape of a noose, and then putting it near a person's head, another employee's head, and laughing as the employee twisted the dough into this noose, placed it around his neck, and another held it over his head. Right? So the Jimmy John's Corporation says that the action seen in the video are absolutely unacceptable, do not represent the Jimmy John's brand or the local franchise ownership team. They said that they have alerted the franchise to the video, notified them, and they quickly investigated, terminated all the employees involved. But this isn't the only place this is going. This happened in Woodstock, Georgia. And they said they will also conduct training at the Woodstock, Georgia franchise. Probably need to do training system-wide. I'm just saying.
Probably.
To help prevent anything like this from ever happening again. I will tell you that sometimes I have been in a pizza place and I've seen how they twist the dough, and they do put it, and it does look like a noose. It really does. So these aren't the first to do it, and certainly won't be the last, but definitely in light of our current climate, as well as two young men on the West Coast that we know of who have been lynched. and found, Hang, that this is definitely not something that you want to make fun of.
Hey, guess what? Hey, listen, come close, come close. Hey, our friends who are listening to us on YouTube and anyplace else, if you see a noose somewhere and you think about playing with it and you're on the job, like Nancy Reagan said, just say no. Just say no.
Is
There's
that the first
cameras
time you
everywhere.
referenced
It's
her?
not funny. Like that's just it. Just you know, even though
But he,
given the freshness of Jimmy John's, it's probably like the one in Bubba's. That noose had probably been there since last fall, anyhow. So.
and how about the guy in the White House who is calling Bubba to apologize for that? For the hoax.
Do
For
we
the
really want to go
hoax.
there? The fact. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the noose. And okay, they decided it was a door pull, but there was no other door pull like that
Nobody
anywhere in
else's
the
garage.
NASCAR system.
No.
So it's clear that whoever made that door pull, I get that's a door pull, made it so it would look like a noose. Number one. Number two, door pulls are supposed to not have sliding knots. If you have a door pull, what you don't want to do is when you pull the door to have the knot slide down to your hand. Right. So it is an ineffective door pull. It was made as a noose. You have to understand that first. Second, the guy in the White House is a bozo. We know this. We know him to be a bozo. Bozo had orange hair. This guy has an orange face. It's just the same. For him to say that the person who didn't bring this up, by the way, needs to apologize, he gets to make the president gets to make what is much more complex simple, and it's a dog whistle to the people. And in the same tweet, he talked about because of the flag, NASCAR has low ratings. Oh, and by the way, and I'll shut up after this, NASCAR does not have low ratings. Just because the president said he has low ratings does not make it true. NASCAR ratings were actually up. And the people who were behind Bubba at NASCAR, who helped push the car out, stand behind him now, you orange idiot.
You can come closer with that too. Oh, this man, in the conversations that we have about the way that he is going about all of this and how he is choosing to side with good people on that side of the thing, as he likes to say, good people on both sides. And from what I understand, he's driving a lot of people in his own administration, in his building that we pay for. He's driving them to distraction and perhaps drink because they're trying to figure out why all of a sudden he is Mr. Confederate. He's all but wearing the Kentucky Colonel's white suit and talking all of this nonsense that he is. But it's crazy. It's crazy.
I believe I know why. It's because he knows he's not going to get any other vote. His chance to be reelected. And I've said this, I think I've said this to you privately, maybe elsewhere, that come November, because of the way he's setting this up, you will know what country you live in.
Yeah.
Donald Trump right now is not trying to appeal to anybody except his base. He's trying to supercharge his base and get them animated and angry so they have the passion to come out and vote in November, right? He's trying to get those people who want the Confederate flag, who would usually stay home at an election. Yeah. He's trying to get them so they come out. He's trying to empty every rocking chair on every wooden porch, like in the South during that time. And so he's been obsessed with his reelection, and the only thing he cares about is if he doesn't. It's not about uniting the nation. It's nothing. It's just, can he get those folks who would wear Confederate flags on their hats to vote for him in November?
And the sad thing is that he's really riling them up, because if you more and more of the news reports are of these people who are coming, whether they have to turn away at a big box store because they refuse to wear the mask or whatever, and they're chanting white power. You got the old people in Florida at the community, the retirement community, riding around in the golf carts chanting white power. It's going, and it's interesting to see how this is all going to happen, but he's not giving up. He's not giving up, because where will he go? What will he do? He'll go to Florida, and people will hope that he will go away, and that is really the reason why we're voting.
After his presidency, no ex-president in our history will be more irrelevant
Yeah.
than Donald Trump. And no president in our history wants to be more relevant than Donald Trump.
Yeah,
To be a
that's
great,
true.
I can't,
And that,
let's
and
hurry
man,
that up. Let's hurry that up.
that is, and one day we'll talk about the niece's book, which they have moved up the publication of, and how that is all playing, because the excerpts are just incredible. Just incredible. This has been another week in which one of our cherished magazines of African American culture has had the door opened, or has had the curtain pulled back. And this is something we've known a lot about. Ebony Magazine has had a number of difficulties, not to mention filing for bankruptcy, Chapter 7, not to mention the stories that have been going on for years, that people who have been working for the magazine have not been getting paid, and especially the independent contractors, the freelancers. And now it was announced after Essence, and they made quite a statement that Black Female Anonymous, that we want some changes, and we want to continue working with this magazine. And they got changes in a week. You saw some things starting to happen. Ebony has had a decline in all of this over the years, and not the least of which now is an announcement in which they have announced the removal of Willard Jackson Jr. as the CEO of the company. And they said they're going to appoint an interim CEO and an operating committee. And they did promise they will make good on the payment of the delinquent compensation to Ebony employees. And so that is good. What is going to happen to Ebony, I don't know. I do know that their 75th anniversary is in November, and I'm hoping that they will have an opportunity to celebrate. And this is an industry, this is a media that has slowly been declining, and in some cases a rapid decline. But I just don't know where you go with Ebony Magazine when you think about that big magazine on the living room coffee table, and the great pictures, and
or in the bathroom, or in the bathroom.
Well,
shout out to grandma's house.
Jet was in the bathroom.
High quality point.
Yeah.
Yeah. High quality point. That's right.
Jet was usually at the beauty shop, the barber shop, and in the bathroom. But I'm wondering, can Ebony be saved? Should it be saved? What do you think?
It's still a valuable brand. I think they've had challenges. I know some people who've run it over the years, Ebony and Jet. It's got to, no one's flipping pages anymore. Few people are flipping pages. And so it's how it appears online and how it appears in its digital form. And I'm not sure they've really ever, a lot of magazines are having challenges making that transition. I think Ebony and Jet have had that, Ebony has continued to have that difficulty in that transition. And so I think if they get that right, I think there's still value in the brand. But it's just about how can you relate to an audience that candidly is aging, right? There's not really new Ebony viewers, and so like Life before it, like Time, like other things before it that were iconic at a certain time.
Playboy, but look at Playboy, which was all about the pictures. I'm sorry, and the articles.
I'm not heard about that. I'm not sure. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Technically something wrong.
Playboy.
Oh, I'm sorry. You mean the one in June of 1980 that had the centerfold of the person who was in Thriller? What's her name was in Thriller? What was her name? Thriller video. And Michael's like, I had no idea she was in Playboy. Playboy, please.
Right. Playboy, really?
Oh my God, I can't believe it. No, not Ray. Not Ray Chong. Thriller video. What is her name? And she was in Playboy. And maybe or maybe I'm not saying my dad got that Playboy for me. I'm just saying that I'm not saying that he got that Playboy for me. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that.
But
I'm saying that she was in that Playboy. What? No, Ola Ray. Ola Ray?
Ola
Yeah, Ola Ray.
Ray.
Ola Ray. Thank you, Veronica. Veronica. No,
There's
Sean.
your
It was
girl.
not the. It was Sean. It was not the Russian version. It was not Olga Ray. No, it was Ola Ray.
Hola.
Christian
Hola.
Carrie
Hola,
Maria.
Ray.
Carrie Maria. Veronica, first one. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
So you can't use that tomorrow night on your sunglasses?
I still have that actually. I still have that Playboy.
Do you really?
I 100%
You know what?
do.
Last week, this is not to question what Stephen Hill has in his treasure trove, but last week he pulled out a photograph of himself with Erica Alexander, probably 1990.
Yeah, it had to have been right. It was
Like
before
around...
93, so it was before Living Single. Definitely, it was a Cosby Show.
Yeah. So and held it, and then at the very end pulled out his photograph of her. And by the way, that documentary, and still want to recommend it. It's called John Lewis, Good Trouble, and it did very well over the weekend. So thank you all for supporting that. So back to the magazine question. The days of magazines have come and gone. I'm probably one of the last people that still gets magazines in some respects, and I can appreciate all of the time and money that goes into it. I still like, the beauty of the photography and a real appreciation for it. But you're right, we're just of a different age, and
it is. Your computer is open, there. Your computer is on, your phone is with you all the time, your tablet is there. You don't have to, you can carry all the books and all the music and all the magazines that ever existed in something of this size. That's it.
So. Just that big. Do you have a pink phone cover?
I do indeed.
Oh, special.
Yep. I know where my phone is. Whenever I put my phone down, there's a whole bunch of black covers.
Because a lot of dudes are not going to have that, right?
I know which one. I know which one is mine.
Yeah.
When I go to the gym, I'm very clear on which case is mine.
Okay, because here I am. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Here I am.
I'll rock the pink polo shirt if you're not careful.
I know, and that is your favorite shirt.
It is indeed. Absolutely.
And you shaved today.
I did. I shaved from last week. Yes, I did. I thought it was time to. Since I do my own grooming, I know that like a lot of my friends are doing the quarantine beards. And I kind of wanted to join in that, and I was like, oh, they're doing it because like they get professionally groomed. I'm doing it just because. And then there was 2 nights in a row when it got really itchy, and I was like, bye, gone. So that's it. And besides, I want to go back to looking 27. Yeah. And
you do.
Yeah. I think so too.
You do. I mean, with your weight loss and now by shaving, you do. You absolutely do. Absolutely.
My mother gets on me for losing so much weight. You look so thin now. Well, I'm good with that. Well, it's too thin.
Things I've never heard.
Jesus with me. I'm with you. I like your comment. If you want to see Jesus with me, put the comment. That's right. And not afraid of it because we're comfortable who we are.
That's right. There you go.
That's right.
Did our friend say what happened with Mount Calvary? Oh, okay.
Was it Dayton? I think it was Dayton.
Oh, he's missing.
He's missing like choir
Bible study. Oh, in Dayton, Ohio, in the men's ministry. Oh,
that's right. Called himself out though, didn't he? Like people, you could have said like, "Oh, I got the COVID. I'm not going to be there," but instead, you were on this medium talking about like, "Oh, I'm listening to y'all instead of going to Bible study."
But everybody's having Bible study online now, so
just say Jesus wept. It's all good.
It is not the
no, it is. Jesus wept. You're good.
You got to have something more. You got to have, we have a Bible expert on our staff. You really could get with her and find out some more things to say from the scriptures.
I look in the book of Deuteronomy, Leviticus 4, Jackson 5. Even our barber woman laughed at that. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah. Well, The other thing I wanted to ask you about is if you could give us a little bit of your thoughts on Hamilton, the release that happened over the 4th of July weekend, and how many times you've seen it.
My name is Alexander Hamilton.
Yes.
I've described Hamilton thusly since I got to see it before it was on Broadway. I saw it at the Public Theater. And luckily I saw it before all of the hype. But the thing I've said is like
when the ticket was reasonable.
Well, even then it was right when it's starting to get sold out. So I remember going.
Okay.
A friend of mine had gotten me actually one of the managers for the Roots who were involved in it originally got me a ticket. I remember Leon was outside and he was trying to get in. He finally got in, but like he was there and it was sold out. And he thought, so, because I'm Leon, I'd be able to walk in. And actually that ended up being true. That's another story. The point is, it's one of the few things in life that is so overhyped. People say, oh, you got to see Hamilton. You got to see Hamilton. That you go like, it can't be as good as the hype. And it exceeds the hype.
Right.
I love the fact that it's just, first of all, it's an unbelievably great story. It's a phenomenal story that I'm surprised hadn't been told before. It's told very, very well through hip hop. And there are people who are now going to have to say, okay, Aaron Burr is Black. You're going to have to disprove that to me. Right? There's a generation of like 8 and 9-year-olds who see this and be like, no, Aaron Burr wasn't Black. Like when they get to school, they'll be like, this must be the wrong. They don't look like Leslie Odom Jr. to me, right? And so I think it just opens up the desire to learn about American history, and it talks about immigrants' role, Blacks' roles, truly in the movement, and makes a side thing to Thomas Jefferson owning slaves. So as an overall piece, just as the production is great, but just what you walk away with feeling like more, like this is a great thing to see with all these people getting jobs and behind the scenes. As I could go on for Hamilton a while.
How many times have you seen it this weekend or this week?
This week I saw it 3 times. I've seen it 6 times on stage.
Wow.
And I get something new every time.
And what about the difficulty that people have in getting their kids to see this?
Well, that's what they make rope for. Tie them to the chair, force their eyes open with toothpicks, and say, Jaden, you're going to, I'm sorry, I shouldn't use proper nouns. sorry. Jaden, you're going to, I did it again. Then you get your faithful ward. Maybe he's 15 years old. Maybe he'd rather watch Stranger Things. Maybe he wants to be Discord online with his friends. But you say, hey, you're going to watch this. I couldn't get him to watch it. My faithful ward, 15 years old. I couldn't get him to watch it.
Wow.
He literally ran away. It's on my Instagram, actually. That was not staged. Like he literally ran away from me in the apartment and said, hey, let's watch Hamilton. No.
Oh my God, like it was the plague or something.
Like it was the plague.
So are you hip to the controversy about how slavery was handled in this?
I am not. What's the controversy? Let me know. Tell me.
I'm not real sure about it either, but I have read that people are upset about how slavery was the focus of or the lack thereof in the play and the movie and the whole Jefferson thing. And so, but this is somebody's interpretation of it. And so, and I think Lin-Manuel Miranda has just done an incredible job. And I'm just not sure that it warrants calling it a controversy and not understanding that this is his interpretation.
I fully cop to the fact that I am a Hamilton fan for all the reasons I just told you. That said, it's not about slavery, right? There are a few nods to slavery, most notably of John Lawrence, who worked to truly free the slaves, who was killed right at the end of it. That was played by Anthony Ramos in this version. So there's a conversation about that, and there's also a sly nod to Thomas Jefferson's. I'll call it brutalization, even though it's not handled that way in this play because it doesn't fit the tone of Sally Hemings. There's a reference to
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to call it a relationship because that would be a misnomer for a
Right.
slave master thing.
Right.
But there's a nod to that fits the tone of this piece. So look, if you look for anything that depicts that time, you can find something about it because it's not going to be just about slavery. There's more that happened than that's not it's not the focus of everything about that time period.
Right, right. I commend them, and I'm very happy for his success. Like I said, there are a number of us who could not afford to go see Hamilton, but just really very happy for his success and want only the best. And I have such admiration for people like Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is just a one-of-a-kind talent.
Yes. Yes.
And has done incredible work. And this is not the end of his good work either. And so
he's got the movie In the Heights coming out. It was
yeah,
so the show
which
the
is
show he had before Hamilton was called
right,
In the Heights.
In the Heights.
Did
Yeah.
unbelievably well on Broadway, and Anthony Ramos is actually the star of the movie In the Heights, which was supposed to come out, I believe, this summer, but it's been pushed back like every other movie to the fall. But it was again. Underrepresented people on Broadway is what Lin-Manuel has done.
Yeah.
So, shout.
And for those of you who said, Anthony Ramos, where do I know that name? If you watched the Spike Lee version of She's Gotta Have It, he was Mars. He was Mars Blackman character. And he was the focus of a lot of the second season when they did that whole Puerto Rico thing. And so, but definitely that is who Anthony Ramos is. So, and the last thing I wanted to ask you about, because of and you said the relationship between Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings and how that really isn't it. I don't know if you have been paying attention to this news story that came about. I think because she died either yesterday or today. But Mary Kay Letourneau. When I say that name, do you recognize it?
As a okay. Should I go the straight route or the?
No, I mean however way you want to go. However you want to go.
Well, as a former high school boy, who had an amazingly large crush on Melina Nussbaum, my French teacher, and if she had chosen to act naughty, Marlena Nussbaum, I got no problem. Yes, indeed. And if she had decided to act naughty with me, I probably would have acted naughty with her. So Mary Kay, as I understand, is the one who did. Miss Nussbaum did not. Mary Kay did.
Mary Kay Letourneau was a middle school teacher, and she and the way a lot of the headlines go is that as Mary Kay Letourneau dies, known for her relationship with students.
Oh no.
So Mary Kay Letourneau, for all intents and purposes, what she did was rape a 12-year-old boy, and was so obsessed with him that even after she went to prison, she had children by him. They got married when she got out. They had kids before this. And as I understand it, this kid divorced her like not too long ago, but she died this week from colon cancer. But it's just really interesting how for women, she's known for her relationship with this boy. Whereas if it were a male teacher and a female student, we would, or a male student, but we would know it for what it was. And I think that women have gotten the lighter end of this and not really been held to what it is that they did. You know, she said he was the aggressor in this. I don't care how sexy a 12-year-old boy is, in your mind, you just don't, that's just not, I know if I have to ask you because
Miss Nussbaum, I even spoke to her in French. I was like, hey, voulez-vous avec moi ce soir?
And did she laugh? Ooh,
she was like, boy. Oh, mais oui. Dans ma maison. Man,
Did you ever have, not have an affair with your teacher, but did you ever have that situation in your school? Because we did at our school. And the
where the
teacher,
teacher actually, nothing proven. There were always rumors.
Mhm.
And yeah, so there was always the suspicion, but you when you're a student, oh my God, it must be true, and then you're an adult, like, wait a minute, that was just a rumor
Right.
going around.
We saw this a teacher and a student. It was like on a Friday at a middle school football game, and we saw them walking around the campus holding hands. And that was a Friday. Monday, they both had disappeared. She was in 8th grade. He was a history teacher.
She was in 8th grade, and he was a
he
pedophile.
was not. He was old enough to be her father.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really.
You gotta wait till you're like 50 or 55 before you do stuff like that. It went one too far, didn't it? Just
Okay.
It went one too far.
Sorry. Okay.
That was so. And that's how we know.
Oh, okay. So Mr. Davenport, he, God bless him, Mount Calvary Missionary Baptist Church. He said, go to Matthew 5:8, and he says, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." Can you memorize that? Oh, I'm sorry, Yolanda. You're saying this, and you're sending this to Mr. Davenport. Oh, okay. Okay, so Mr. Davenport, I got it all confused. I thought you were sending this in. Our executive producer is our little church girl. And so she is sending this out to you since you missed Bible study. Matthew 5:8, and then blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God.
Oh, that's lovely. I mean, it's not as concise as Jesus wept, which is what I gave you a long time ago.
Well, that's for the backsliders and those who have not been in a church for how long?
Jesus weeping is a pretty serious thing. Like, I mean, I know it's only 2 words, but that says a lot.
It says that you are just willing to stop right there.
No, do you know? Hey, church girl, do you know why Jesus wept? Do you know why at that point? Oh, well, I guess we'll have to tune in next week and find out.
Because he was, I'm not even gonna know. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget tomorrow night on Instagram Live, Stephen Hill goes live all the way live with sunglasses and soul music. And who are you going to be?
I think we're just gonna do groups. I'm gonna do groups like Confunction, Sly and the Family Stone. Like if there's more than 3 in the group, I'm gonna go for it. I think that's what it's gonna be, just groups.
Okay, where 3 or more gathered, there you have a group.
A funky night or 5 or more. We have a funky night of 5 or more. That's what it's called.
Okay, a funky night of 5
or more. Sounds like my Fridays before coronavirus. Anyhow, listen, I don't want to get into it.
Okay, so go to Stephen Grant Hill tomorrow evening. It's at 7:00 Eastern.
Yeah,
tomorrow
7:00
night.
Eastern.
Okay, so tomorrow night, I don't want to, just kind of throw you off here, but we have a big show tomorrow. George Wallace will be in on Thursday, and our guest will be Tom Joyner and Senator Royce West, State Senator Royce West, who is running for the United States Senate. They're best friends. We're going to talk with them. And he is in a runoff on the 14th of July. And so we're wishing him all the good luck. So tomorrow night, I will be joined by George Wallace, Tom Joyner, and State Senator Royce West, who is hoping to be the Democratic nominee for the United States Senate and turn the United States Senate blue. So there you have it.
All right.
Did you have to take your glasses off for that?
Well, just because you should understand. So is Tom still sore because I owe him money? Is that why he won't come on with me? Like he won't come on my night?
Yes.
Like it was like a $19.
Well, have you sent it to him? He's on a fixed income now. Wow. But who amongst us is it?
If I could be fixed like that, then I would be one of Bob Barker's pets. I knew you'd enjoy that one. I
That was
knew you would
brilliant.
enjoy that one.
That was positively brilliant. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. Stephen Hill and I are going to go and play radio some more for our podcast from ha-has to ahas.
Oh, yeah.
Please go to any of the podcast platforms and subscribe to that as well. We appreciate you. Tomorrow, we'll see you. And thanks for subscribing to the What You Need to Know newsletter. If you have not, please go to sybilwilkes.com. And we will get you in there, and we hope that you will become a part of the What You Need to Know News Nation. Thanks so much. See you tomorrow.
Later on.
Thanks, Stephen Hill.
Thank you, Sybil Wilkes. Be you. Don't let the world change your mind.
Is that a scripture?
From Leviticus 4, Jackson 5. Thought I was lying.
Oh, golly.